morning to the honorable ministers of the council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Rebecca Roach and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. At this time, I invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, the Honorable Pamela Gordon-Carty, to address you.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Thank you to the public, everyone that is following us via the different media. As Ministry of the VSIs continue conducting different meetings with the different head of departments, we have the following updates that we would like to provide the public with. On social affairs, what we are busy doing right now in the ministry is that we will be getting in contact with the different councils, district councils. The intention is for us to, as a Ministry of VSA, to have direct connection with the population in the different districts. So what we are planning to do is to go inside of each one of the districts and have communication directly with the population to hear what are their grievances, what are the challenges that they are experiencing based on the social aspect that we want to target. In combination with that, we will be also targeting the unemployment. We have noticed that the unemployment drive, which was mentioned 2 weeks ago, it's either people are afraid or there is another reason why they are not coming to the labor office. So I will be using this press release again to call upon all those unemployed people in St. Martin. Since you're not coming to the labor office, we will be going to you into the districts. So just be aware that we will be publicizing the dates. We will set up an agenda on which districts we will be going into in order for us to have direct access to the people. For us, it's important that myself, I think as a minister of VSA, together with my team, professional team, we think that it is important for us to target the unemployment right now on St. Martin. Why? Because as much as we are looking at the financial situation of St. Martin, it also starts at our local people. It starts at providing work, employment for our locals because they are the draagkracht of our population, of our economy. If we do not get that cycle, break that cycle of unemployment on the island, it will get to be a vicious circle. So you have to pay attention on the unemployment in each population. It's important. So once that is done, then you get a growth and you get a population in a country that will become wealthy. It all starts with the percentage of unemployment in a country. So it is of great importance that we pay more attention to that and that people realize that we, on our end as government, we are hearing the complaints. We are setting everything, the stage is ready. So there is a closeness between public and the government. So since it's not happening that they are coming to the labor office, we will be going into the districts. So that's one. I also wanted to inform that we have assisted 44 families so far that came into a situation not too nice, a social situation based on the hurricane. So we have helped 44. It's good for people to know. It's not always about negative information. It's also good to know the positive side. VSA so far has helped 44 families that was damaged after hurricane. from VSR budget. We also have 80 other homes that we fix in collaboration with FROMI. So it's not that VSR is not out there. We're just not making everything public. But I think it's well deserved to let the public know that the team of VSR in different capacities are working towards bringing closeness between the government and the public. When it comes to the ambulance, we are still working on a reallocation of the ambulance personnel. So when we get an update from the respective head of department, we will inform that this process has been concluded. We also had a visit to MHF and to the different other departments. We are still in communication and holding meetings with the different departments that falls under VSR. For us, it's not important to come and just state things. It's important for us to gather information, keep different meetings, and then bring a conclusion where everybody is involved and everybody knows how we are moving forward. So basically, that's the objective right about now, in keeping meetings and getting to know in the short time period what are the challenges, where we have to continue, and how can we basically change or improve different things that will push each department forward. From the Inspectorate of Health, we also had communication with them on a regular basis. And for us, it's important, and during this period of holidays, that inspections are conducted by the different restaurants and supermarkets. We have noticed that it have some supermarkets that do not have the full license to sell food. I'm going to use this press to inform every supermarket owner. Yes, it is holidays. Yes, we want to make more money. But as Minister of VSR, it's our responsibility also to make sure that the public health is taken into account. So I would like to tell every supermarket, restaurants, keep within your license. So if you are not entitled, based on your license, to sell food, please do not conduct it, because it might have consequences when the inspectorate is doing and executing their jobs. Last but not least, I want to also inform that stay safe, inform to the public, stay safe during the period of holidays, and don't forget the reason for the season. Let's not get out of hand with the drinking. Control your drinking in all sense, and check and see what it is you're eating, where it is you're eating. And I wish everybody a happy holiday.
Thank you, Minister Gordon Carty, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Egbert Duran, to address you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roach. Honorable Prime Minister, colleague ministers, members of the media, people of St. Martin, good morning. During the latter part of last week, I had the privilege, along with the Ministry of Justice, in particular the Corps St. Martin, to join the family members of the late Officer Cernick Carolina as the body of the officer arrived at Princess Juliana Airport. The service celebrating the life of the fallen officer will take place tomorrow, Thursday, December 19th, at the Royal Funeral Home and Crematorium at 3 p.m. following the viewing. I wish to extend once more my heartfelt condolences to the family and also the colleagues of the KPSM. Last Friday, December 13th, a public meeting was held in the Parliament where myself, as Minister of Justice, and the Minister of Finance gave an update on the payments that is due to the justice workers. In the meantime, many meetings have been held with the unions and different stakeholders. I would once again like to reiterate that this issue has my full attention, and we are seeking various ways to remedy this very serious situation that is unfortunate that it has been long-standing for so long. We encountered this issue less than a month ago while being in office, and we are working diligently to find a solution to remedy this issue. I also met with the management of the airport and Immigration and Border Control in order to get an update on the state of affairs of one of our main ports of entry, the Princess Juliana International Airport, and to make the necessary adjustments to have the proper flow incoming and outgoing passengers during this very busy period. I recently also issued a press release pertaining to the situation on the front side and how it can affect the Dutch side. And I again would like to take this opportunity to wish my counterparts on brothers and sisters on the front side well during these difficult times. And at the same time, thank the local law enforcement officers for the hard work that they put in regards to this issue over the weekend and up to now. This afternoon, upon my invitation, a year-end gathering for justice workers and retirees of the justice chain will be held at the Government Administration Building at 5 p.m. Even though the invitations has been sent out, I would like to personally invite all present and former workers of the justice chain to come out to this event this afternoon. I would also like to take this opportunity to wish everyone in St. Martin and abroad tuned in a prosperous 2020 and a safe and happy holiday season. I hope and pray that everybody make it through safe and have a good year 2020. For now, this concludes my press briefing, and I look forward to any questions from the media. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Durand, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, the Honorable Christopher Waver, to address you.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to my colleague ministers, Honorable Prime Minister, members of the media, and a special good morning to the people of St. Martin. First, I would like to start off by stating that the situation concerning the works being carried out in Dutch Quarter District still has my full attention and the attention of the ministry. The roadworks to be carried out at this stage is part of the solution to the existing problems in Dutch Quarter, which will provide some relief to the residents and road users during the holidays. Roadworks has started yesterday in preparation for the paving of the road. That should be completed by later this evening, so that by tomorrow morning, there should be a new asphalt road to drive on. Please note that due to the backlog currently in the Building Permits Department, the department will not be accepting any new permits requests from Thursday, December 19th until the 3rd of January 2020. As of Monday, January 6, 2020, new permits requests will be accepted. This is to allow the department to finalize the building permits currently pending. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, but I believe this is needed in order to provide a better service for the new year. As part of my awareness campaign slogan, "Be part of the solution, reduce your pollution," I would like to remind the general public to be mindful when disposing of your garbage. The general public is then also advised that the landfill will be closed on Wednesday, December 25th and January 1st, 2020. Also, at this time, as we are going into the festive season, many of us will be buying new furniture, appliances, gifts, and other items. And at the end of the day, as we dispose of the replaced furniture and appliances, and as we open our gifts, I urge the general public to dispose of garbage in a responsible manner. Recycle what can be recycled and reuse what can be reused. I take this opportunity to wish the people of St. Martin a safe, pleasant, and enjoyable holiday season, and a prosperous and happy new year to come. This also concludes my updates, and I await any questions from the media. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Waver, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Minister of Finance and Acting Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Artwell Edion, to address you.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to my colleagues, the media, and to those viewing by all the different forms of media platforms. This being our last press briefing for the year, I would like to say happy holidays from us at the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport. I'm aware of the situation on the French side and that there was a peaceful march yesterday. And I would like to also state that I also stand in solidarity with our people and hope that the issues will be resolved soon. I also hope that this holiday season allows us time to reflect and appreciate all the good in our life. 2019 has been a year of restructuring in preparation for all the great things that are to come. We have begun putting things into place to realize our vision for a prosperous St. Martin. For the Ministry of Education, last week, Thursday, I was made aware of flooding at the Martin Luther King School, and my staff and I, we visited the site, we saw the damage and the flooding. That same day, I had a meeting with the contractor, who assured me that by Monday, the new heavy-duty tarpaulin will be put in place as a temporary solution while we finalize the process for the total construction of the new roof. And yesterday, I went to the school to verify, and it was done. So I'm happy for that. I would also like to congratulate all of the graduating high school students this week. I've already been to a couple. Mac High was yesterday, Charlotte Brookson. There's also Academy tonight, and St. Dominic tomorrow. Again, I would like to say congratulations to you and much success in the next steps of your journey. And that'll be all, and this concludes my press briefing.
Thank you, Minister Edion, for your opening remarks. At this time, I invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, the Honorable Severa Jacobs, to address you.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning. Good morning to my colleague ministers. Good morning to all those following this broadcast. Good morning to the press here represented this morning. As Prime Minister, it is of course my duty to have a holiday message, so I will save that for when it comes out just before Christmas. But of course, I take this time for all listening at this time to remember the reason for the season. Remember that it is not about material things, it's not about the decorations or the lights, even though they do put us in a cheerful spirit. And we were finally able to do that here at the building as well. Thankful to the two ministries that collaborated for that, the Culture Department as well as the Ministry of General Affairs, in getting that done. I think it gives a lightness that is needed at this time. There's a lot of serious and extremely challenging things that are going on in St. Martin. That does not mean that we are minimizing any of that, but really and truly, we should remember the reason for the season and give thanks. We give thanks that we are alive. We give thanks that we have the blessings of love, family, and those of us that do have job and work and can work in our passion, we can give thanks for that as well. As we all know, and it was already in the media, my colleague minister also mentioned it, the situation on the French side, the impasse apparently still continues, even though some concessions have been made and they are being deliberated on. I really look forward to a peaceful resolving of the impasse on the French side, not just because of the violence, not just because of the lack of economic activity, but because we want to be able to resolve problems in a peaceful manner. It is very sad that it had to reach to this level for a decision to be taken to actually give some time for the collectivité and the people of St. Martin to come to a PPRN that is acceptable to our cultural norms, to the way that the people on St. Martin live. But we must understand here on the Dutch side that our constitutional states on French and Dutch St. Martin, as much as we are one people, the constitution that governs us is completely different. And so the local government has, for instance, in that situation, very little say. However, as Prime Minister of the country, certain things were requested of us, which we as a Council of Ministers found very difficult to agree with, even though we have good working relations both at the European level and at the local level between Dutch and French. We could not allow to be dragged into and be utilized as a venue or as a vehicle for any type of violence against the people of St. Martin, to whom we are strongly connected. So it is interesting to know that though the request was made to dock at the Dutch port, that it was possible to dock at the French port. So those are things that, you know, we will have to discuss and deliberate on. As Dutch and French St. Martin, we collaborate where we need to and where we have to, and of course, as a people, we remain one. The EU meeting that was supposed to be held on Monday on the French side, due to the demonstrations and the lack of security on that side at the point, could not be held, and hopefully that will be reconvened quickly, because it deals with projects that we share between the Dutch and French side that are funded by EU funds. So on those, in those cases, of course, we continue to collaborate and work. We've also continued to collaborate, as my minister, colleague Minister Doran mentioned, on the justice side, in facilitating when there were need for movements from the French border to the one border to the next of the French medical or emergency facilities, and for anything related to that, of course, agreement and authorization was given for those types of movements to be made. We really hope and pray that the people, the government, will utilize the time that is given to come to a solution that is in the best interest of St. Martin. Also, the NRPB has also returned and has updated us on some of the projects. We will be looking forward to the execution of those projects, because based on our meetings in Washington last week, it was clear that the holdup, everybody's concerned about the holdup, including the trustees of the fund. So we are looking forward to being able to get those projects moving, and even the one pertaining to the firemen and the building, that it appears that the NRPB also has that on its scope. And so today we are getting the final information as to how quickly the fire department's building can be repaired. But of course, we are prepared as government to move forward with our plans in case those plans will take too long. As it stands, before I excuse me, left, excuse me, the fire department had already been, the decision to move them had been taken. The responsibilities of government had already been met in terms of the payments and the requirement to have the room sanitized, because there was possibility for any negativity there. That was also resolved. So it is now to the fire department to actually move in. Everything that has to be done on our side has been done, and so I await word today that that has actually taken place. Later today, we will continue to have consultations on a ministerial level together with the Council of Ministers. That is just an update. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to announce to the general public, in an effort to keep the lines of communication open between the government of St. Martin through my office. We've come up with a social media platform. The Facebook page has been launched, Prime Minister of St. Martin, Silveria E. Jacobs, an official Instagram, Prime Minister Silveria Jacobs, and PM Talks, which the general public is invited to any issue or challenge or topic to send in questions to Prime Minister Talks at stmartingov.org, and I will weekly or bi-weekly, as the requests come in via St. Martin Gov Radio, respond to these questions. So it will also be on the Prime Minister of St. Martin's Facebook page. So questions can come in. We will log those. You can do that via the email, Prime Minister talks@stmartingov.org, or you can drop off your requests and or comments, questions in a box that will be available at the government receptions. I hope that in this way we can continue to dialogue, not only through our weekly press briefing, but through, sometimes people just have questions that they would like to have answered. And in terms of procedures, I know a lot of questions have been coming in already about the vacancies I've mentioned. And I've been told that definitely the security, cleaning, there are several others within different levels of government. I will be able to then go into those types of questions during Prime Minister talks. So tune in to those. Once weekly, they will be coming to you. The announcements will be made. I hope in this way to be able to keep the lines of communication open, and I look forward to hearing from you, the general public. So by this, I will take my seat, and hopefully we can take the questions of the media present. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Silveria Jacobs, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing. We now move on to the question and answer session. Nikisha Boseman of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Good morning to all ministers. Good morning to all present or listening. My first question is for Minister Gordon Carty. You mentioned earlier that you would be going into the districts, the different districts, to reach out to persons who are unemployed. Can you elaborate a little bit more? When do you plan to start doing this, and how often would you be doing this?
Thank you for your question. We are busy sitting with the entire team right now to plan it properly. So I'd rather not go into details and then held accountable for it. So we are having all the team players to discuss the different hiccups that we might encounter. So we are planning it before we go executing it. But the date for execution will be in the first week of January.
Thank you, Minister Gordon Carty. Lyndon Brown of BCN TV, you have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and the ministers that are present here today. Question to Minister Gordon Carty. Minister, since you came into this press briefing, you emphasize unemployment. Minister, do you have the number of persons being unemployed, and what are the areas need to be filled?
I've been looking into statistics myself and also with the team. We are not going to give that figure. Why? For two reasons. Statistics doesn't have all the components taken in place in order for them to provide an accurate figure. So the figure that is provided is still missing other components inside of it. So like I said, we are looking into different options that we can gather together and bring a truthful figure that will be representative of the truthful amount of unemployment in the different categories. So therefore, I will have to get back to you with a truthful figure on that. I'd rather not give a figure that is not representative.
Thank you, Minister Gordon Carty. Stephen Cerulean of PJ82 Radio, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Prime Minister, Ministers, good morning. My question is for the Minister of Justice. The holiday season is fast approaching. In fact, on the 26th of December, we have some 6 cruise ships in port. What has been done to ensure the safety of our visitors during this period?
Good morning again. Thank you, Stephen, for your question. I had several meetings with the Chief of Police, and we take into consideration the 26th of December as well. Even Election Day is a very busy day for the Port of St. Martin, so we have election and the regular tourists visiting. We have a plan of approach, a plan of action in terms of patrolling and different things in place for these activities. Also, a plan that relates to the traffic alleviation as well. Fact is, it's a busy time of the year. There's going to be a lot of traffic in different aspects, not only in the cars, in terms of people as well. And we do have plans in place in order to mitigate the various issues that we may encounter in regards to safety and security.
Thank you, Minister Duran. We now move on to the second round of questions. Nakisha, you have the floor.
My second question is for Minister Gordon Carty again. Can you provide an update on the construction of the new General Hospital? The hospital said that construction was supposed to start in November, but so far there has been nothing much going on.
We didn't have the opportunity as yet to sit with all the key players from the hospital. So we have a meeting scheduled, I think it's for tomorrow. So based on that, that will be one of the questions that I will definitely pose, because you're hearing a lot of things. But for me, it's important to hear it from the person itself. So when sitting with the key team players, I will get that information and I will provide it to the public.
Thank you, Minister Gordon Carty. Lyndon Brown, you have the floor.
Question to the Prime Minister, Minister Sylvia Jacob. The problem on the French side is gruesome. Minister, I have the opportunity to went in the battlefield. And what is the statement? What are the communication do you have with Mr. Daniel Gibbs, Minister? And if there have been any communication or consultation, what did you tell him?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. As was noted before, I have been in constant contact with not just Mr. Gibbs, but also with First Vice President Valerie Damaso, as well as the prefect. All of the requests for assistance that have come to St. Martin, Dutch St. Martin, have come through the prefect, and we have been dealing with the Foreign Affairs Office in The Hague, as well as the Foreign Affairs Office in France. For official military movements, that is the route that has to be taken. With the ship that had to come in, it was a regular cargo ship, so the route wasn't necessary. Of course, we could have gone that route, but had we gone that route, the regular trajectory of request takes several days, and the prefect was actually in quite a hurry to get what she needed into the island. So she was advised to send her request directly to me in writing. So most of the requests have come directly from the prefect, Madame Fouché. The discussions between my person and Mr. Gibbs as the president of the collectivité have been basically moral support. Yesterday in our discussions, and from the night before, he explained about the peaceful march. Unfortunately, the Council of Ministers had several meetings planned, and we could not actually show up and be in solidarity. However, our solidarity and our support was sent via the telephone, in the way we have behaved in supporting the people of Saint-Martin, who are our brothers and sisters, and especially taking into consideration that the safety and security of the St. Martiners were first and foremost on our minds. Any threat toward the safety and security of St. Martin would be the main reason why any decision is taken. However, our conversations are as to updating where are we, what has been done, and basically the last I've heard is that based on that the minister in the Foreign Affairs, or the Interior Minister in France, did grant 3 months reprieve before the implementation would take effect, and in that time then the government would have to do what it has to do to make the amendments that they are asking to make. So I am hoping that that's enough time. I don't know if it has been accepted as yet. This is news I got just before coming in here. So I know that, as far as I know, the blockades are still there. If they've been lifted in the meantime, then that would be a step in the right direction if they've accepted it. If not, then we would have to wait on those updates, which I will get during the course of the day.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Stephen, you have the floor.
Thank you again. My question is for the Minister of Romy. Minister, in the past, you've spoken of the road markings, the traffic lights, and the situation down in the quarter. What we have noticed, though, is the fact that we have a lack of traffic signs throughout the island. What has been done on your part to ensure that those signs are being re-erected? Because we are also seeing what used to be one traffic way becomes a two-way traffic. What has been done now to correct that situation?
Thank you for your question. Yes, you're correct. There's a lot of traffic signs that are missing. The tender process has been carried out, so we're now waiting for the finalization of it. And then the signs can be ordered, and as soon they reach, we will place them. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Waver. We now move on to the third round of questions. Nakisha, you have the floor.
My third question is for Minister Ian. I asked this question several weeks ago in regards to 2020 number plates. I don't believe you were present at the moment. But what I want to know, are we sticking to the current plates that we have? Will we be changing them? Or would we be going to the more environmentally friendly method of using stickers?
Good morning. Thank you for your question, Ms. Boseman. We started the discussions pertaining to the number plates, but we haven't finalized those discussions as yet, so I won't be able to answer that. But I will take into consideration the environmentally friendly number plates, which I think is a good idea, but I believe it was brought up once before and it was an issue why we couldn't switch over. So I will get confirmation on this. I do believe there are other opportunities for us in terms of number plates. So I will bring these up in the discussions in the nearby future. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Lyndon, you have the floor.
Question to Minister Gordon Carty. Minister, I believe you have heard, all of us that are here today, that there are plastic rice on the supermarket shelf. Plastic rice out of Thailand and China on the supermarket shelf. Minister, what are the methods being used to differentiate the genuine and the fake?
Repeat that last piece, please.
It's
What I
like
said?
it's like just to say, it's like just to say, can you discern a male and a female? In other words, they are plastic rice, and they are the genuine and the fake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the newspaper today, because during the entire week I had discussion with my inspectorate, where I have a close, very, very close relationship with, and I take advice from him as an expert on the arena of health. So we are busy trying to, in collaboration with other countries and St. Martin, Curacao, Aruba, we're trying to basically work in collaboration and see how we can tighten up on the control of the different foods that are coming in that are not being controlled. And I know that in the newspaper today as well, you saw that the inspectorate will be conducting more strenuous controls on the different foods. So there are ways to control if it's plastic or if it's original. But at the end of the day, that's something that the inspectorate is well capable of executing and knowing how to do it. Thank you. Does that answer your question? Because you still have a question mark on your face.
I'm not satisfied. For this reason, it was 2 weeks ago, I saw, I ain't gonna say which area, the person, a person brought back the rice that came from Thailand, and I investigated. It came out of Thailand. So how is possible that plastic rice, we emphasize plastic, we want to get rid of plastic. It damages the fishes in the sea, and now people have consumed it. I have spoken to people that consume the plastic rice. So it's not business as usual. It is very serious.
Yes,
So-
it is something serious. We are taking all of those things into account, but again, like I said, we have to take the advice of the inspectorate, which is the expert on the arena, and together conduct and see how we can eliminate that all of these products is entering into our country. So steps are being taken, meetings are being held, but at this specific moment, that will be the answer that I have to give you.
Thank you, Minister Gordon Carty. Stephen Cerulean, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. My question is for the Justice Minister. Mr. Law Enforcement Council is very critical of the situation at the Point Blanche prison. In fact, they're saying that the situation is deteriorating very quickly. Recommendations have been ignored. Can you give us a status update, if you may, as to what's the current situation at the prison and what's been done from your end to ensure that this is corrected once and for all?
Thank you for your question, Stephen. Last week during the press briefing, I gave a account as to the fact that I met with the Law Enforcement Council. I also made a agreement with them that we would meet on a monthly basis in order to deal with the recommendations one by one. Having worked in the prison and seeing the situation firsthand, having visited the prison as a member of parliament and even now as a minister about two times, I know the situation from in and out direct, so it's not I'm not relying on second-hand information. It has my full attention. I was able to lift the strike that was going on for about 7 weeks within my first week in office. So that alone should show some sort of commitment to the issue. I also spoke to the chairperson of the Law Enforcement Council, and we made an agreement to meet on a monthly basis. And one of the things that we realized is that they give recommendations, but there's no, there's no body that deals with those recommendations. It comes to the ministry, the ministry reviews it, but there's no go-to person in that regard. And what I will do now is, in consultation with them as well, appoint someone that deals directly with those recommendations in order for us to tackle it. We know what the issues are, but now it's time to put somebody responsible so that they can be held accountable and make sure that all the T's and I's are crossed in terms of dealing with the issues in that regard. So it has my full attention and we are working on it, that's for sure.
Thank you, Minister Duran. We now move on to the final round of questions. Nikisha, you have the floor.
My next question is for Minister Ian again. Several weeks ago, I asked you about the construction of the Prince William Alexander School. Have you received any updates to this?
Yeah. Thank you again for your question. The schools in general, we had a meeting yesterday actually with the World Bank pertaining to the emergency repair schools and total reconstruction schools. The public schools are still, some of the public schools are still dealing with the tender, the process. We are also looking at, through the World Bank, assessing the schools, or we're going to start an assessment to see if we should actually repair certain schools or do a full reconstruction. So that assessment process will start. Since yesterday, we made a decision to start that process. And there are a couple of schools, one of which is the Martin Luther King School, which fell under the insurance program, if you want to call it that. St. Martin Vocational and Genevieve de Beaver. And so those are also going to be reviewed. Yesterday in the meeting, I told them, let's look to see if we could actually rebuild better instead of just doing repairs. So a lot of assessments will begin again, and to evaluate if we should do repairs or full reconstructions with the budget we have from the World Bank, including the Prince William Alexander School.
Thank you, Minister Idion. Lyndon, you have the floor.
Final question to the Minister of Rumi, the Deputy Prime Minister. Minister, recently I mentioned you're one of the most powerful ministers, but you didn't understand, Minister. and the reality are surfacing. Minister, you was waiting for public consultation or public rumors about the Dutch Quarter project. It was on your desk for a while. And you have a timeline on the asphalt of Dutch Quarter Road. After in time, you will hear about monies, people didn't get paid. So diving into that process again, because a lot of time you wonder where people get information from. I don't think it's from your office. So tell us the status of the project.
Thank you for your question. As it pertains to the asphalting, that wasn't part of the works that had to be carried out, but that I feel that was a responsibility of government now to relieve some of the issues right now in Dutch Quarter. So that was started yesterday, as I said, and it will be finalized by later this evening. They're working about, I think, 13 hours straight to ensure that that is done. And as part of safety as well, I also requested to put a few speed bumps on the road as well, as when you have a new road, especially that length, safety becomes a concern as well with vehicle speeding. As it pertains to the works in Dutch Quarter itself, that is an ongoing situation right now. As I know it, all the subcontractors are up to date with their payments. They have been paid up to date as the works that have been carried out. Works were kind of stopped at the moment due to a situation between the main contractor from Bukel and also the EU and government to come to agreements as before they proceed. What I do know is on Wednesday I met with the representatives from Bukel and from government, from our end, from the Ministry of Romy. And it seems the dialogue seems to be going in a positive direction. And we're hoping that they can start as soon as possible, that the works will be started. My main concern, as I said before too, is that I want to ensure that once the work starts, that it continues until the project is finalized. I don't want to prematurely start the project and then in 2 or 3 weeks have to stop it again because of some minor issues. So I want everything to be worked out. And I spoke with the subcontractors as well when we had a Dutch Quarter community meeting on last week Friday, where I kind of spoke to some of the subcontractors and explained that same sentiments. So they seem to understand. So we're moving in the right direction. So hopefully starting the new year, we can start the project as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Waver. Stephen, you have the final question.
Minister of Finance, how close are you to presenting the 2020 budget?
Thank you, Mr. Cerulean. Today, Wednesday, I gave a deadline last week, Wednesday for today, to all the SGs and financial controllers to make the necessary cuts for the budget so we can finalize the budget. So today I'm receiving the cuts, hopefully the cuts, and which we had to reduce by at least 3%. That should be sent to me today, and by top of the year, we should have the budget finalized, well, presented at least.
Thank you, Minister Edion, for your response. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online viewers, and radio listeners, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. For rebroadcast, tune in at 7 p.m. on St. Martin Cable TV and via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM. For video on demand, log on to the official government's website at stmartingov.org. On behalf of the Department of Communication, I would like to wish a happy holiday season and a prosperous new year to one and all. Have a pleasant day further.